All right, we're fighting the workers downstairs today, so hopefully that won't be too much of a problem. Hey there, Jim Hart back at you here from the Hart Law Firm. Today I want to talk to you about 4 contracts you need for your online business. This was a quick video that I put up on Shorts yesterday. It got a ton of response. I figured I needed to dive deeper into this topic because if you're just getting started with your online business or your regular business, then chances are you don't have any contracts in place. And you might be wondering, well, what contracts do you need? What can happen if you don't have contracts? All those things. I'm going to talk about all of that here today with a little cup of coffee. So before we jump into the contracts that you need to have, let's talk about why you need the contracts. You need contracts, number one, to keep you out of trouble with the government because there's rules and regulations that say you need to have certain things on your website, especially if you're running an online business. Number 2, contracts can help you in terms of saving money on taxes. They can help you in terms of making sure you don't get chargebacks with your clients. They can help you in all sorts of ways to limit your liability and your exposure in the event something bad happens. Number 3, contracts can help you to really control the rules of the game when it comes to your business and how you want to do business, especially on your website. A lot of people think that they can do whatever they want with stuff that's on the web, but your contracts are actually going to do a great job of protecting you from people basically stealing your content, copyright infringement, all sorts of things. It also can govern who owns certain intellectual property on your website, and if somebody should post infringing materials on your website, a contract can help you to claim safe harbor against copyright infringement claims against you. So there's a lot of benefits to having different types of contracts. Contracts that you're going to put on your website, contracts that you're going to use with individual clients and vendors, all sorts of things. But today I want to share with you the 4 contracts that I really think everybody, if you're just getting started, whether, like I said, you're an online business or your regular business, really need to have in place to really form this strong legal foundation for your business. So let me take a quick sip of coffee, then let's jump to it. My Portuguese mug that I got in Obidos in December. I honestly wish I bought 2 of these because they were like €5 and it's like one of the best mugs I've ever had. So the first contract you need, and this should be no surprise to anyone that's paid attention to the channel for the past several years, but the first contract you absolutely must have is a privacy policy. Now, why do you need a privacy policy? Well, if you just put up a one-page website that doesn't collect anyone's information, it's just like who I am, that's it, and doesn't ask for any information, doesn't have a way for somebody to comment on your website, doesn't have a way for them to submit an email and get on your email list or anything like that, then you might not need a privacy policy. But for anybody else, and that's like 99.9% of everyone else that's doing business online, you need to have a privacy policy. A privacy policy is going to tell the person that submits, let's say, an email address, their name, maybe they buy something from you, and so they provide their address, their credit card information, their birthday, their social security number of all their kids, whatever it is they're going to provide, they're giving you that information. And a privacy policy is what tells them how you're going to use that information, why you're asking for that information, and what to do if they want you to basically delete that information. And in the United States, a privacy policy is required. I'm not sure exactly how many states, but the number of states is growing, and in a couple years when you see this video, it's probably going to be even more than it is now. But the first state to really lead the charge when it came to privacy policies and online privacy in general was California. And so their Privacy Protection Act is kind of, if you're doing business in the United States and you've got a website and you get clients from all over the country, chances are you've got some clients from California. And by virtue of that, you must have a privacy policy on your website. So if you live in the United States, you need to have a privacy policy. Even if you don't live in the United States, if you're doing business with anybody in Europe, there's this law called GDPR, which governs privacy policies in Europe. And the penalties for violating this, for not having a privacy policy in place on your website, are quite substantial. So you need to make sure that you have a privacy policy on your website. And so that's the first contract, if you want to call it that you really need to have. And you should have a privacy policy devoted to a single page on your website. It should be in the footer of every page. If you have a landing page that somebody goes to get on your email list with like ConvertKit or lead pages, you need to make sure that you've put that privacy policy somewhere on that website. Also, Kajabi is another one that you can get landing pages from. So anything like that, you need to make sure you have that privacy policy in place. And it's not enough to just use, a lot of these services will give you these templated privacy policies and say that you're covered, but that's actually not enough. You need to make sure that your privacy policy is compliant with California law and with GDPR at a minimum. And so I'll include a link down below to my legal template store where you can access a privacy policy if you need to do that. Contract number 2 is a website terms and conditions agreement. And so this is kind of goes hand in hand with the privacy policy that you need. And a website terms and conditions agreement is basically an agreement between you and anyone who visits your website. Now, this is before they become a client or a customer of your business. This is when they just land on your page, and it governs how they can operate on your page. So if you have a blog and you allow comments, it's going to govern how and when and what people can say in their comments and what they can post. If you have any other type of website that has third-party information in it, then it's going to govern that information and the use of that information and what people can do with it. And I have to be honest here. A lot of people are probably watching this video and thinking, okay, well, what is the chance that this is really going to happen to me? And with all of these things, I would say not the privacy policy. Don't mess with that. Get a privacy policy. But with this and the other contracts, the likelihood of anything bad happening is usually pretty small, but the damages that can happen if something bad does happen is tremendous. And this is why it's really important that you get these policies on your website. And so a website terms and conditions document is going to outline all of these things. It's going to, like I said, limit your liability. It's going to have venue clauses that are going to say where people can sue you if they decide that they want to sue you. It's going to protect your intellectual property. It's going to protect your copyrights. It's going to do all these things. And it's really important to have on your website. Again, I'll put a link down below to my legal template store where, again, of course, you can purchase one of those documents as well. Third one, the third contract is kind of the flip side of the website terms and conditions, and this is called a website terms of sale. This is different. This is when somebody decides they actually want to purchase something from you, whether that be services, whether that be a consultation call, whether that be a product that you sell on your website, anything like that, that somebody decides they want to purchase from you, then this is the contract that's going to govern that sale. And so this is specifically going to be related to, like, I would say, one-off services or goods that you might be selling on your website, either physical goods or digital goods that you might be selling on your website. And so basically what this is, it's going to govern that relationship. It's going to limit your relationship with this person to that one sale transaction. So, if you're selling like a one-off consultation call, then this contract is going to say, the engagement ends at the conclusion of the call, something like that. If you're selling goods, and goods being like a coffee mug is a good, this microphone that you can't see that's up here, that's a good. The camera that I'm recording in, that's a good. A good is anything physical, or it could be a digital product that you sell somebody else to use. So it's going to govern what is included with that and how they're going to receive that good from you. It's going to deal with refund policies. So it's funny, I talked about this. Well, actually, I don't think I did. I don't get chargebacks very often, especially as a lawyer. It's rare to get a chargeback as a lawyer, but they do happen, and I did receive one a few days ago. The terms of service that you're going to use with your website is going to govern what happens when a chargeback occurs. Now, in this case, I will tell you, I reached out to the client. There was some misunderstanding about communication. We had the wrong email address. They weren't getting some emails from me. We were able to resolve it, and he withdrew the chargeback. So happy ending in that situation, but they're not always happy endings. And so a terms of sale, anytime somebody decides to purchase something from you, is going to deal with refund request. It's going to deal with chargebacks, what can happen in those cases. And it's going to deal again with limiting your liability in the event they would sue you because they use your product improperly or because they're harmed in the use of your product. You want to make sure you have a disclaimer of liability in there. You want to make sure you have a venue clause in there. All sorts of things. So a website terms of sale is incredibly important. You need to make sure you have that anytime somebody is buying something from you. And if you couldn't guess, down below, my legal template store has a website terms of sale for sale. Number 4 is probably the most important contract that a new business is going to use, especially if they're starting out as a freelancer, or maybe they're doing ghostwriting, or maybe web design services or something like that. Before you take that jump to providing goods and services on a website where that's all you're selling, you're probably going to be doing services first. And what I mean by that, I mean you're going to be providing individual client services to individual clients, one-to-one, either for an hourly rate or a flat fee or whatever it is you're going to be doing. And so a client contract is one of the most important contracts that a brand new business is going to start. I would say if you get most of your business through referrals and you don't even really have a website up yet, the client contract should be jumped to number 1 in terms of the contracts that you need for your business. And again, a client contract is important because it's going to outline the scope of the engagement. It's going to talk about what you're going to do and what you can't do for the client. It's going to have a venue clause. It's going to have a refund clause or a chargeback clause. It's going to limit your liability in the event something goes wrong. It's going to talk about exactly what you're going to be doing for that client and exactly when and how they're going to pay you for those services. So it's really important that you have a client contract in place. I would say that a lot of people, when it comes time to hiring legal help outside of their LLC and getting their trademarks filed, which are both incredibly important, hiring a lawyer to draft a customized client contract is one of the biggest investments they're going to make into their business. And so having a good client contract in place is really important. It's going to make you look more professional in the eyes of your clients. It's going to make you look like you're not a bozo that doesn't know what they're doing. If I were to hire somebody and they didn't give me a contract, and that actually did happen once and the relationship did not end well. If you have somebody and they want to hire you and you don't have a contract to give them, it's going to make you look like a schmo. What is that from Friends, a schmohawk? It's going to make you look like a schmohawk. Was that Friends? I think that was Friends, where they went like that. I probably shouldn't include that in the video today. Anyway, if you don't have Larry David. I think Larry David did schmohawk. Yeah. Friends was the thing that I probably shouldn't do because it's probably going to get flagged by YouTube. But Larry David, he used to refer to people as schmohawks. And so if you don't have a contract, you're going to look like a schmohawk, and you don't want to do that. So make sure you have a client contract. It's going to make you look more professional. It's going to protect your relationships. And everything's going to be easier when you have a client contract in place that covers all the things that you need to cover. Link down below, obviously. So I think what I'm going to do next week I'm going to do another video and I'm going to talk about the major components that you need to have in your contracts to make sure that you stay legally protected and safe. And I'm going to post that video right over here. I hope you have a great week and I will talk to you soon. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.